Hello and welcome to my matcha mob, or the practice people, or the kind folk who have paid and subscribed so you can get this. Here we are at the final 3 movements of WAG. I want to spend some time on these because of just how profound they can be. It doesn't seem like much because all we are doing is moving from having been in this with Happy Dog to the big cat bow stretch, to the big dog stretch, and then thrusting all the way to standing when that happens. But the magic of it is that we're learning to concertina, accordion our spine from the support of our knees to our feet, our hands to our shoulders, and our head, all the way through to our bowl. And you can really concertina and get the spine moving and working and opening and breathing without having to force breath in there. And that's what is magical. We'll also take a look during this video at the 3 postures, the 3 asana that are closely, intimately related to them, which I think is fun because it means that we're not just doing idle shapes. Inside the shape, we are creating the container into which we can transfer it directly into asana, so we can generate the energy of that asana without just flowing through shapes. But remember the simplicity of this, dear folk, that all you are trying to do is you're trying to generate the movement through one place, through the bowl. That's it. Cannot iterate that enough, because when you do that, the spine starts to articulate and open, and I would say regenerate. Obviously, I've got no medical backup for that, but how it feels in my nervous system and my energy, it feels more awake, more alert. Which is another reason why I'm sneezing or sniffing at the moment, sneezing hopefully not on camera, is because the structure of my head has shifted on my skull or inside my skull on my spine. So it's made all of my sinuses really sensitive. That is to say that when you get practice right, correct, good, it will put you up against all of the parts that are stiff, grumpy and stuck, and it will make them unstick, a little bit more cheerful and slightly less grumpy. It's a process. So inside that statement, if you want to hear what I'm actually trying to say, is that practice doesn't always feel good, but it always instinctively, leads you in the right direction. So if you are feeling that there's, say, cramp under the diaphragm, or stiffness and cramp in the back of the legs, or stiffness inside the hands, the wrists, the shoulders, that's your stuckness. Get this to make connection to that stuckness until the two have a conversation, because when you have a conversation with the thing that is difficult, it often makes it less difficult, or at least it brings about some kind of an outcome of resolution that allows you to move forwards, which in this forwards or backwards, inside this flow, inside this asana, is as representative of life as it is on the mat. So where are we? We have floated down to here. A little trick you can have here is that if you lift your feet and point your feet and take your feet in, so almost like they're going to touch, that allows you to fold more deeply. Not arch your spine, but have your pelvic bowl drawn back between your legs, deeper, more intimate, more of a snug feeling. And when you allow that to affect the rest of your spine, it then creates more of the happy dog feeling that we spoke about last time. But the toes are tucked under, so then here's the first of the movements. Really getting this amazing shape here, this rounded shape. When you get the feeling that the hips are reaching through and driving down through the arms. This is a fantastic posture, and it really gets the power of the pelvis into the arms using the legs. The thing we can then translate that to is if we round, and try to get that feeling of rounding the spine, of getting the hips to drive up, and round the spine. Instead of it being driven, a crow being driven from the shoulders or from kind of gripping in the hips, it starts to generate more energy and flowing down through the arms, which gets the shoulder blades moving in a different way. Now, the reason that the shoulder blades want to be active this way, rolling forwards this way, is it creates this space and moves the fabric behind the heart. That can help us access the energies and the people behind us. And then it gives the space for the shoulder blades to relax into. Hence, if you really work this until you feel it in your arms, you can then practice. Instead of lifting from your ribs, which will look like this, and pushing from the arms, if you thrust and keep thrusting, this movement animates the ribs, which then animates the arms, which then gets you used to putting more effort down through the arms in that shape. That's important because then when you transfer to the next shape, from this bow stretch, this cat bow stretch, into the big dog stretch, if you have this, the movement is so gentle, driven from inside the bowl, so gentle. And again, just like the happy dog stretch, the big dog stretch, when you get the bowl pulling, drawing back between you, not only anchors the bowl into the horseshoe, but if it draws back further, it lifts the head, animating the spine, lengthening the inside of the spine, which is bloody magnificent. But the other thing that it does is that when you generate a lot of tension using the thrust to animate and lock the shoulders down into the hands, then all you do is you fold. It really starts to rearrange and reorganize the fabric in your shoulders, starting to release and loosen some of the grip it has on your upper back and neck, which then makes the next movement here so delightful because everything hangs. You don't have to think about rolling up vertebra by vertebra. You just have to hang and draw yourself via the thrust. And obviously when you get to here, the fold happens and this space appears inside the spine, inside the body. It's just wonderful because, coming back to the analogy of the accordion, squeezing and opening, when it opens, it draws air into it. And when you really compress and work from the thrust and then keep that fabric active and fold, it's like it draws space into the body that isn't necessarily breath. It's not just necessarily your lungs opening. There's something far more, I want to say magical, but it's very mundane, but it's this space appears inside the body, inside the spine. It's like an actual physical space into which, if you put your mind, not just your mind, but your emotions, the softness of the tissues and your psyche, the fabric of your being, if you put the awareness of all of those around or inside that tube, something magical happens. And all of that is so available inside these three movements. So available. I'll leave it there because I don't want to add too much and confuse you, because there's a lot of information that I've just kind of given away. All that happens is this. So we fold, happy dog, big cat bow stretch, big dog stretch, grounding the thrust, which then becomes that shape. Obviously the last shape is Samastiti if you're in the horseshoe, or Tadasana if you're very much in the middle part of your foot. The middle part of your foot. Have a play. Because even though I haven't really unpacked, obviously the big dog stretch is down dog. if you just shuffle your legs backwards. But we'll be looking at those, I'll be looking at those anyway in future essays coming very soon. Here, see if you can get the internal reality, see if you can get the internal shape, because that's what matters. Once you have that, it can transfer into every single shape, every single asana you want to do. So that's it for me this week. More next week when we look at the flow of it, which I'm looking forward to actually, because then there's something magical about the ebb and flow. Like the essay this week about prostrations and protestations and practice. We're going to be looking at that more, even more, in the following week, where we look at the actual flow up and down. But for here, yeah, that'll do for now. In the meantime, I wish you all the best. Thanks so much for your time and